Heartwarming discovery, a single dad's life change when he opens his home to a crying girl, reveals the hidden bonds of community. On a stormy afternoon, the rain poured relentlessly, echoing the desperation of an unshared story. Mike, a 38-year-old mechanic, hardly noticed the checkered curtains in his cluttered home, nor the faint smell of grease that lingered from his work boots. His focus was chiefly on Jake, his teenage son, back in school, grappling with the absence of a mother who had left for a life he could never understand. Just another day, just another struggle. Suddenly, a soft sob broke through the pattering of rain. Mike wiped his hands on a rag, puzzled. Was it the storm playing tricks on him? With a furrowed brow, he stepped onto the porch, the damp air enveloping him. And there she was, a small girl, no older than 10, shivering in a threadbare raincoat, her big brown eyes soaked with tears. Disoriented and trembling, she introduced herself as Lily, a name so light yet burdened with darkness. Before he knew it, Mike had her inside, wrapped in a blanket and seated at the kitchen table with a bowl of warm soup cradled in her hands. Each spoonful seemed to melt away the cold that gripped her bones, and he couldn't remember the last time he felt so glad to help someone. As she glanced around with wide eyes, taking in the familiar chaos, Mike felt a strange joy bloom behind the worry creasing his forehead. It reminded him of Jake's laughter and their shared battles against the world. At first, they exchanged shy smiles. But soon, laughter filled the corners of their cozy home. Jake had come home, and just like that, their small family doubled in love. Lily's giggles against Jake's playful banter made Mike's heart swell with the simplest joy. It was contagious. Yet, as the shadows of night set in, the weight of her shattered spirit returned. She opened up about the neglect at home, the stinging remarks of classmates that turned school into a battleground. Mike felt a rock settle deep in his gut, recalling his own fears of being unable to protect Jake from the world's cruelties. Before they could explore any more of her story, a knock came at the door, reverberating with authority. The school officials, the harbingers of hard truth, delivered news that shattered the fragile peace of their new routine. Lily's family situation was dire, and she could be swept away from the one place where she had felt warmth and acceptance. Mike's heart raced. This was an impossible conundrum. Did he dare become her advocate? Did he even have the strength to stand against the storm of judgment that was sure to follow? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Gathered amidst murmurs and skeptical gazes at the community meeting, Mike felt the walls of judgment closing in. Doubts bolted through the crowd like lightning. He stood before them, every heartbeat thundering in his ears. Would they see him as a desperate father, fighting a battle that threatened his own safety? With painful clarity, he understood that this wasn't merely about Lily, it was about connection, the division of communities. As he began to share his words, the room fell into an eerie silence. Mike drew a breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Lily deserves a family, he said, grounding his voice. The emotions tethered everyone in that space, stirring old fears, awakening dormant hope. Will you stand with me, or will you turn away? The emotion simmered, thick and palpable, leaving them hanging on his every word. Would they see him as a voice for this girl lost in the rain? The questions burned like the storm outside, leaving him with a choice that would change everything. As Mike stood at the front of the room, he realized each member of the community endured their own storms, silent battles hidden behind carefully crafted facades. The tension was thick, and he could feel eyes prickling with curiosity or skepticism. He searched the faces in the room: the father of his son's classmate, the local pastor who always seemed so composed, even Mrs. Carson, the tough-as-nails lady from the neighborhood who had fostered children of her own. Were they all willing to open their hearts to Lily, or would they shut her out like the rain outside? Think about what you'd want for your own kids, Mike urged, desperation lacing his voice. If it were Jake in a situation like this, I'd hope someone would step up. He felt the words wrap around the audience, tugging at their conscience. As he glanced towards the back, he caught Lily's gaze. There she sat, smaller than ever, clutching her blanket like it was a shield against the doubts swirling around them. Lily deserves hope. She deserves laughter again, he continued, his throat tightening. And frankly, we all could use a little more of that around here, couldn't we? A few murmurs of agreement came from the crowd, but others remained silent. Just then, a voice broke through the murmur, a shaky, yet brave voice. I've seen what neglect can do, piped up Mrs. Carson. Her brows wrinkled with days of worry and concern, but her heart seemed to ignite with newfound fervor. I wouldn't want to stand by watching a child suffer, especially when they could find safety and love. Encouraged, Mike pressed on, feeling a wave of warmth wash over him. Exactly. Together, we can create a space where every child feels cherished, he encouraged. We can shift conversations from blame to rebuilding. If we can't protect our own, how do we expect to thrive as a community? Head nods began to ripple through the room like a wave, eyes that were once narrow turned wide with possibility. She doesn't want pity, Jake spoke up as he bravely joined his father. She wants a chance to be a kid again. His voice rang with a maturity that surprised Mike. It was these moments, these little fragments of hope and strength that made the struggle worthwhile. At that moment, a woman in the back stood up, wiping her eyes. I'm in. I'll help however I can. More voices chattered in agreement, emboldened by her courage. Yet, amidst this newfound resolve, Mike could still feel that familiar weight in his chest. This was just the beginning of a battle that could unravel as easily as it had begun. Would the support from the community withstand the pressures lurking in shadows? Was it enough to keep Lily safe and secure? As the meeting concluded, promises forged in the heat of passion swirled in the air, but Mike felt the storm brewing again. He didn't want to lose Lily, he felt her etched in his own heart, the bond created in those brief hours under his roof. Stepping outside, the rain slowed to a whisper, yet the clouds still loomed heavy above. Mike felt the winds shift, something was coming, but he wasn't sure if it would be a blessing or a burden. Dad, Jake said softly, what if they changed their minds? The question hung in the air like unanswered prayers. Mike looked out into the gray horizon, grasping at a fleeting sense of certainty. Then we fight, Jake. We fight for her. As they walked back inside, an unmistakable sense of both fear and commitment gripped his heart. But where were they heading? How long could this fragile peace last? In that moment, he wondered, what would it take to transform caring intentions into reality? The next chapter was about to be written, and he could only hope it would lead to a brighter tomorrow. The next few days passed in a whirlwind of activity. The community buzzed with excitement about helping Lily, and Mike found himself leaning on the support of neighbors in ways he had never imagined. It was a strange balance. Hope thrummed through him while anxiety gnawed at the edges of his heart. Jake was especially enthusiastic. Can we paint her room? He asked one night over dinner, his eyes bright with ideas. We should put up stars and maybe a tree, like the one in that book about the boy who could fly. Remembering how Lily's face brightened earlier at the mention of books, Mike felt a swell of warmth. That sounds like a great idea, buddy. Let us do it. We'll make it a place she can feel safe. The following weekend, they rolled up their sleeves with a handful of neighbors. Paint cans lined the driveway, and laughter echoed through the house. Each stroke of the brush felt like more than just decoration, it was a promise, a commitment to Lily that they cared. The community had rallied, and it felt good to see faces of those who once wore masks of doubt transforming into smiles eager to support. Yet, for Mike, the worries never quite faded. He watched as new friends filled his home with life, but a part of him remained guarded. What if it wasn't enough? What if the very things going right crumbled? After questioning himself 1,000 times, He realized he couldn't help but worry about the ways systems could fail children, how whispers of doubt could seep in when it mattered most. Later that week, during a community meeting at the local church, a tense atmosphere settled over the room. Mike felt the energy shift as a few voices began to vocalize their skepticism. How do we even know this girl is worth the trouble? One of the attendees asked, folding his arms tightly. What if she has issues we can't handle? That doubt hit Mike like a punch in the gut. Did they not see Lily as a child who needed love? Did vulnerability become synonymous with weakness? His heart raced as he stood to speak. What we see in her, in every child, is worth all the fuss, all the worry. If we turn our backs now, we're not just letting Lily down, we're letting our own humanity slide. The murmurs of dissent softened a bit, but there remained skeptics in the crowd. A woman stood up, her eyes fierce. I fostered for years, and it was messy. We can't pretend it's easy. Some kids come with scars you can't see. Her words cut deep, and Mike felt the sting in his chest. He, too, understood that there were no guarantees, only the chance to love and to fight for what was right. Love isn't easy, Mike countered, voice firm but tinged with vulnerability. It's messy. But we owe it to Lily to try. Don't we all deserve a chance? The room fell silent, caught between fear and hope. That night, as Mike sat on the porch after the meeting, the stars twinkled brightly overhead but felt far away, like his hopes for Lily. Jake joined him, his little body tucked beside his dad. Do you think they'll be okay with her? He asked softly, breaking the stillness. Mike wrapped an arm around his son, letting the warmth of family soothe his worries. I hope so, son. We just have to keep showing them. Sometimes it might take time, but love can change minds. It has to. They stared out at the endless sky, the night whispering secrets within its depths. Just then, he noticed a flicker in the corner of his eye, Lily's silhouette against the porch light as she stepped hesitantly forward. Can I help? She asked, clutching a small bag of art supplies. For a moment, the air thickened with emotion. Here she was, the child of their commitment, eager to embrace the community she once feared. Mike felt a rush of hope as he smiled down at her. Absolutely, Lily. Join us. What came next would define them all. Would the community welcome her with open arms, ready to paint a new picture of love and acceptance? Or would shadows of doubt push her back into solitude? As they gathered around to create, Mike found himself praying for strength and for the courage to face whatever storm lay ahead. The gentle rustle of leaves whispered promises, but he knew change was never easy. He took a deep breath, grounded in the moment, ready to step into the unknown alongside those he now called family. And maybe, just maybe, they would all find what they were looking for. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the kitchen window. Mike stirred a pot of oatmeal while Jake patiently waited, bouncing on the tips of his toes. Dad, are we still going to finish the room today? He asked, his excitement palpable. Absolutely, Mike replied, trying to match his son's enthusiasm. But in the back of his mind, a flicker of worry ignited. Would Lily feel welcome? Would she truly embrace this new home they were trying to create for her? After breakfast, they gathered their supplies and headed over to the house. The vibrant colors they'd chosen were already mixed and ready. As they entered the room, the scent of fresh paint filled Mike's lungs, while eager hands and smiling faces surrounded him. Jake instantly started setting up. I want to paint the stars, he exclaimed. He was met with cheerful murmurs, while Lily shyly stepped inside, her eyes darting between the brushes and the people she barely knew. Hey, Lily. Jake called, waving her over. Want to help me draw the stars? Lily hesitated, her little fingers fidgeting with the art bag she clutched. Mike noticed, his heart ached at the sight. You're really great at drawing, he encouraged her, kneeling to her level. It would be so cool to have your stars up there. Would you like to show us? She hesitated for a moment longer before breaking into a shy smile. Slowly, she approached Jake and picked up a brush. The moment was small but significant. As colors began to fill the walls, brilliant blues, gentle greens, and bright yellows, the laughter and chatter swirled around the room. The neighbors painted alongside Lily, sharing stories, asking her about her favorite colors and books. Slowly, like a flower opening to the sun, Lily began to respond. "I like blue," she said quietly, but with each stroke of the brush, her voice grew steadier. Hours passed like golden moments, where echoes of laughter melded with the sound of paint gliding against the wall. For the first time, Mike saw a different look in Lily's eyes, a glimmer of hope reflected as she contributed to the mural of her new space. During a lull, Mike stepped outside with a neighbor, Jenna, who had helped with the preparations. "You know, it's remarkable to see her opening up like this," Mike said, wiping sweat from his brow. "It really is," Jenna replied softly. "Just give her time. Kids have a way of surprising us, especially when they feel safe." When they returned inside, the room was transformed. Jake had drawn an enormous tree, its branches sweeping across the ceiling, while Lily had scattered stars across the ceiling, each one representing something special she valued. They gathered to admire their work, and the room, once just four walls, now felt like a sanctuary overflowing with love. Yet, just as Mike began to smile, he felt the tide of worry sweep in again. Would this moment hold? Could Lily truly find a home here, or would old fears crush her budding sense of belonging? "Okay, team," he called, snapping the air of concern. "Let us add a big sun over here," he pointed to an empty corner. "That way, our room will always feel bright, even on cloudy days." Jake cheered, and with encouraging smiles, Lily picked up bright yellow paint, her face lighting up as she cast aside doubts. But while the brushstrokes flowed with joy, Mike couldn't shake his worries. With each stroke, he felt like they built something precious, yet something could shatter it. As the final touches were added, a buzz of pride filled the air. But a knock at the door brought them all to a halt. "Mike?" A voice from the other side carried a heavy note. It was the social worker. What news did she bring? Mike's heart raced. Would it be information that would bolster their hope, or shatter it entirely? As they gathered by the door, the tension hung thick, threatening to burst. "Let us answer it together," Mike said, urging Lily forward. Would facing this new challenge forge an unbreakable bond, or would it lead them down a winding road filled with uncertainty? As Mike opened the door, a stiff breeze swept through, carrying the tension with it. The social worker stood there, clipboard in hand, her expression neutral but serious. "Hello, Mike," she said softly, glancing at Lily, who hid behind Jake, her small frame trembling slightly. "I wanted to talk to you about the case, if now is a good time." "Of course," Mike replied, forcing his heart to calm. He stepped aside, motioning her in. The vibrancy of the newly painted room felt like an odd contrast to the weight that hung in the air. The social worker stepped inside, observing the artwork. The sun, tree, and stars lit up the walls, a gallery of hope. Yet, her eyes held the gravity of someone carrying news that could ripple across this fragile foundation. "Things have changed," she began, her voice steady but laced with concern. "There have been some new developments regarding Lily's case." Mike exchanged a worried glance with Jake as Lily took a small step back, her small hand clutching his shirt tighter as if anchoring herself. "What kind of developments?" Mike asked, his heart thunderous in his chest. "There's the possibility of a relative coming forward, a distant aunt who wants custody," she explained, watching Mike's face for a reaction. The word struck Mike like a cold wave. Suddenly, those vibrant colors on the wall seemed muted. His throat was tight. "You mean, she could leave?" "It's too early to say for sure. Family connections need to be explored," the social worker continued, her tone gentle but firm. "We want to ensure the best for Lily, but it's important to prepare for every outcome." Jake looked up at Mike, confusion written all over his face. "Dad? What does that mean?" Mike crouched down, looking directly into his son's worried eyes. It means we might have to share Lily with someone else, he explained, his voice softer now, trying to cushion the blow. But we want her here. Jake interjected, his small fists clenched. I know buddy, I want that too, Mike said, feeling the weight of the world press down on him. He looked back at the social worker, seeking reassurance. What can we do? Continue to support her, show her that she belongs here, she urged. These moments you're creating matter. They will show the court how loved she is. Mike straightened up, determination pushing through the scare. We'll keep showing her. We'll make it work. He glared at the anxiety creeping back into his mind. Lily had started to come alive in this home, and he wasn't going to lose that without a fight. Lily had finally stepped forward, her little voice breaking into the conversation. I don't want to go anywhere, she said, the quiver in her tone noticeable. Mike knelt down to her level, brushing back her hair. You're not going anywhere unless we say so, all right? We're going to keep fighting for you, no matter what. The social worker nodded, encouraged by the brimming unity in the room. It's important you all understand this is a process, and emotions can get very complicated. The weight of her words hung in the room, but Mike felt a flicker of resolve. Then let us make her stay count, he said, straightening up. Let us give her a reason to want this home. With mouths set in determination, they all looked toward Lily, who had watched the exchange with wide eyes. The room filled with the beauty of expression and uncertainty, but in this moment, they were together. The sound of laughter broke through the silence as Jake proposed painting something new, an idea blooming against the uncertainty. I can help. Let us paint a galaxy, he said, his eyes shining. Just as Mike felt the warmth return, his phone buzzed in his pocket, shattering the fragile hope settling in the air. He pulled it out, squinting at the screen. A single message from the Children's Services flashed demanding attention, urgent meeting requested regarding Lily. His chest tightened. Was this the beginning of an end or the start of something new? Guys, I need to take this, Mike said, heart racing. Would this moment hold? Could he protect what they built together? The air in the room felt thicker than before, each heartbeat echoing Mike's apprehension. He moved to the corner, trying to gather his thoughts. As he read the words again, they echoed in his mind, urgent meeting. The anxiety clawed at him. He was caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty that he looked back at Jake and Lily, who were deeply engrossed in their own world, as they chatted excitedly about the colors they would use for the galaxy. Their laughter should have lifted him, but it felt like a distant melody, one that didn't quite fit the somber reality banging at the door. Okay, Mike finally said, feeling the need to break the silence before it grew too heavy. Let us get started on that painting. Galaxy. Jake squealed, pumping his fists into the air. He grabbed Lily's hand, and together they dashed towards the small table in the corner, where brushes and jars of paint awaited them. Mike watched them, a bittersweet smile forming. These moments were pure magic. He wanted to breathe in every second, but the looming meeting lingered in his mind like an unwelcome guest. He reluctantly stepped aside, needing a moment to collect his own swirl of emotions. The whole idea of losing Lily felt unbearable, yet he had to be realistic. I'll be right back, he said, forcing cheerfulness into his tone. Okay, Dad. Jake called over his shoulder, already dabbing a brush in blue and splattering it onto the canvas with glee. In a separate room, Mike felt the world close in around him. He pulled in a deep breath and dialed the number in the message. His hands shook slightly as he waited for the call to connect. Hello. A voice said. It was the same woman from Children's Services, the one who had been guiding them through this journey. Hi, it's Mike, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. I just got your message. Yes, thank you for getting back to me so quickly, she replied, her tone serious. We need to discuss the upcoming meeting regarding Lily's case. It's important you understand the gravity of the situation. Mike's heart sank. Is it about the aunt? Partly, yes, she said. We want to ensure you're prepared for the meeting. There's a chance we could bring up more information about her. Is there anything I can do? He asked, grasping desperately at the thread of hope mingled with fear. Focus on what you're doing now, Mike. Show that you are her home, her family. The court will look at her stability as vital. But, she hesitated, it's also about how the transition may affect her. Mike swallowed hard. And if we don't get to keep her? Take care of her, she insisted softly. Make every moment with her matter. That's what will count in their eyes. As he hung up, Mike stared at the wall like it had the answers etched in the paint. All those hopes, all those nights spent comforting Lily when she cried. It couldn't all be slipping away, could it? He returned to the main room, watching as Jake and Lily positioned their paintbrushes like swords, battling imaginary foes. Their laughter rang out, a beautiful sound contrasting with the turmoil brewing in his heart. Hey, you Knights of the Galaxy! He called out, breaking into their imaginative realm. What colors are we using? Lily turned, her eyes sparkling. Purple. And gold. For the stars. Purple and gold it is, he said, his painted smile not quite reaching the depths of his concerns. Even though his heart felt heavy, he grabbed a brush and joined in the fun, determined to make their time as meaningful as possible. Moments like these were what he clung to. As he stepped back, examining their chaotic masterpiece splashed against the canvas, something deeper than anxiety stirred in him. Lily, Mike said, kneeling beside her, no matter what happens, you know you're a part of this family, right? She looked at him, her expression serious, and nodded. Yeah, I know. Just then, Jake shouted, look at it. We did it. The colors blended wildly, it was imperfect but alive. Just like them. Mike couldn't shake the anxious thoughts pressing at the back of his mind, but for now, they had this moment. Yeah, we did, he smiled. But just as peace settled in, the doorbell rang sharp and loud, reverberating through the house. Who could that be? Jake wondered, looking at Mike wide-eyed. A sinking sensation caught in Mike's throat. There was no mistaking the apprehension curling around the edges of that sound. What if it was the relative? He took a deep breath, meeting Jake's eyes before walking toward the door. Let us find out what awaited him on the other side could change everything. The door swung open, and Mike's heart raced, uncertainty rushing in like a cold draft. He braced himself as he faced a woman standing there, her face a mix of nerves and determination. She was holding a large envelope tightly in her hands, the edges crumpled a sign of her own anxiety. Miss Harris? Mike asked, recognizing her from the meetings he had anxiously attended. She nodded, her expression telling him that this was not an ordinary visit. Hi, Mike, she said softly, stepping inside as if the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. Can we talk? He glanced back at Jake and Lily, who were now peeking curiously around the corner. Sure, let us go into the other room, he said, his instinct to protect them surfacing. The last thing he wanted was to involve them in any distressing news. Once inside, Ms. Harris took a seat, smoothing the envelope on her lap. Mike couldn't help but feel the tension crackling in the air between them. Look, I don't want to upset you, but I need to give you the latest update regarding Lily's case, she began, her voice steady but filled with an undertone of sympathy. Mike swallowed hard. Is it about the aunt? Yes, she said, taking a breath. The situation is somewhat complicated. His heart sank. Complicated was never a good sign. What do you mean? The aunt has expressed that she wants to take custody of Lily, Ms. Harris revealed, her eyes searching his for a flicker of understanding. We believe she has her paperwork ready to move forward with the court. Wait, custody. Mike felt a wave of panic wash over him. But she's been here for a while now. We've built a life together. I know, Ms. Harris said quickly, holding her hands up as if to ward off the storm of emotions he was battling. And your case is compelling. You have shown an extraordinary commitment to Lily. But legally, the aunt has rights, and we need to consider that she may be a part of Lily's family. Family? Mike spat, feeling anger bloom. Lily needs stability, and we've given her that. We are her family now. The fire in his voice startled even him. Ms. Harris didn't flinch, only nodded, her gaze filled with understanding. That's exactly what I mean. This is why we have to prepare for the meeting. You need to show that you can provide for her needs. Document everything: her art, her routines, your bond. He felt a surge of determination rise, fierce and unwavering. I'll do whatever it takes. Good, she said, appreciating his resolve. Focus on the positives, Mike. Show how much you love each other, how secure she feels being with you. You need to speak for her in court, to prove to them that she belongs with you. A soft noise from behind them broke the tension. Jake appeared, holding one of Lily's drawings in his little hands. Look, Dad. I showed Lily how to make a spaceship. Mike felt ice melt within him as Jake approached, bubbling with pride. In that moment, the room shifted. The reality of the situation hit him, but so did the clarity of why he needed to stand strong. He took the drawing, a simple sketch of vibrant colors, and looked at Ms. Harris, who understood the unspoken bond between them. Thank you for this. I know what I have to do, he said, the determination in his voice stronger now that as they moved back to the living room, Jake and Lily were laughing as they smeared paint across their canvas. Her laughter filled the spaces of uncertainty, and for a moment, the weight of the world felt a little lighter. Lily, Mike called, kneeling down and smiling, can you show us your favorite part of the painting? She bounced over, her face glowing with joy. The stars. They're magical. In that moment, Mike knew exactly what to fight for. As he watched Lily blossom in her world of colors, he realized that love wasn't just about sharing a roof. It was about the life they built together, every moment painted with care, laughter, and hope. Just then, the door creaked again, and he turned, feeling a twinge of fear. Who is it this time? Mike whispered to himself. The unexpected visitor stepped in, face devoid of compassion, and the weight in the room grew heavier once again. Is this where Lily lives? The woman asked, her voice sharp and cold, and every fiber of Mike's being tensed at the implications. With uncertainty creeping back into his heart, Mike took a step forward, prepared to defend what mattered most. Would he be strong enough to hold on to the family he had fought so hard to create? Mike squared his shoulders, heart pounding in his chest. He took a deep breath. Who are you? The words came out steady, but inside he was a whirlwind of emotion. The woman stepped further into the room, her eyes scanning the space like she was looking for evidence. My name is Rebecca. I'm Lily's aunt, she said, her tone clipped. Each word felt like a slap. Lily, still smearing paint with Jake, paused for just a moment, her laughter trickling into silence. Mike glanced at her, a spark of fear igniting in his chest. He couldn't let this woman take Lily away. Not now, not after everything they had shared. Lily's been through so much, he said, feeling the weight of his words. She's found a home here. Rebecca scoffed, folding her arms. A home? What do you know about taking care of her? You're just a single dad with no family to back you up. I have her best interests at heart. The anger surged again, bubbling up as Mike stepped forward. You don't know what's best for her. You left her when she needed you. We've given her love and stability. This is her home. Lily's little voice broke through the tension, nervously asking, who is she, Daddy? Mike's heart ached. He couldn't show fear. It's okay, sweetheart, he said softly, turning to Lily with a reassuring smile. This is Rebecca. She's your aunt. Lily's eyes narrowed, confusion clouding her expression. But I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here. The little girl's loyalty pierced through Mike like an arrow. It filled him with both hope and desperation. He looked at Rebecca, determined. You have to understand how important this is to her. She's not just a piece of paperwork or a pawn in a game. She's a little girl who deserves to feel safe. Rebecca hesitated, her expression momentarily softening. I am trying to do what's best for her, too. Then help her by letting her stay where she's happy, Mike pleaded. If you really care, you'll see that what we have is real. It's not just a setup for you to come and take her away. There was a long silence, heavy with unspoken feelings. Jake returned to his painting, blissfully unaware of the storm swirling around them. Rebecca seemed to wrestle with herself, torn between duty and the weight of reality. I need to talk to my lawyer, she finally said, regaining her composure. I'll be back. Mike's blood ran cold. Wait, Rebecca. Please don't just walk away. Can we find another way? She turned, the door almost closing behind her, but she paused just an instant. I'm not here to take away your little girl. But I won't let her be forgotten by family either. With that, she left, the door clicking shut behind her, leaving Mike in a haze of uncertainty. Dad? Jake's small voice brought him back. Was that lady mean? His innocent eyes were wide with concern. Mike knelt down, gripping Jake's small hands in his own. She's just confused, buddy. But we have to show her that Lily belongs with us, okay? Lily walked over and took Mike's other hand, squeezing it. Daddy, I'm scared. Don't let her take me away. Seeing their trust in him lit a fire within Mike. He stood tall, a new determination surging through him. I won't let that happen. I promise. As he wrapped his children in a hug, the sense of urgency pressed deeper. He realized he would have to dig into their lives every happy moment, every shared dream painting a picture of love that would be impossible to ignore. At that moment, hope flickered in his heart. They had each other, and that was what would win. But as Mike looked at Lily's wide, frightened eyes, he knew this battle was just beginning. What lengths would he need to go to keep his family whole? The thought sent chills down his spine, and he clenched his fists. He'd fight with every ounce of love he had. With the weight of his promise hanging in the air, Mike began to plot their next move, unaware of the deeper secrets that Rebecca harbored, secrets that could change everything in ways he never anticipated. The sunlight filtered through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the table where Mike sat with Lily and Jake. The kids were busy with their crayons, creating masterpieces that filled the space with vibrant colors. But the joyful atmosphere felt tenuous, hanging on the brink of uncertainty. Daddy, look at my castle. Jake exclaimed, proudly displaying his drawing. That's amazing, buddy. You've got the tallest towers. Mike encouraged, his smile faltering just a bit as he fought off the weight of recent events. Lily, however, had lost her enthusiasm. Her paper lay bare, the colors blending into a muddled mess, much like her emotions. Mike leaned over and gently touched her shoulder. How about you tell me the story behind your drawing? He asked, trying to draw her back in. It was supposed to be a sunny day, she whispered, glancing up with big eyes, full of worry. Heaving a sigh, Mike pulled her into his lap. I know you're scared. But remember, we're stronger together. You know what? I was thinking we could plan a special day together, just the three of us. What do you think? Lily's expression brightened slightly. Like a picnic? Exactly. We could go to the park, take the big blanket, and even pack some of those sandwiches you love. How about that? Her small hands clawed at his shirt, seeking reassurance. Will she still be there when we get back? Lily, he said, desperation creeping into his voice, I don't know what's going to happen. But I promise to do everything I can to keep you safe. He hoped that his words would soothe her as he hoped they would soothe his own fears. Okay, she said, her voice small, as if she were trying to convince herself more than him. Mike stood up, his heart pumping. He needed answers, a plan. While preparing breakfast, he glanced out the window, lost in thought. With Rebecca's return looming over them, he realized it was time to reach out to someone who might understand the complexities of this situation, once the kids were settled with their breakfast, Mike grabbed his phone and dialed the number of an old friend from college. Sarah had gone on to become a social worker, and he hoped she could help him navigate the murky waters of custody and family law. "Hey, Mike. I've missed you." Sarah answered, her tone bright and cheerful. "Hey, Sarah. I really need your help." Mike inhaled sharply, feeling the weight of his emotions pressing down. "It's about my daughter. It's complicated." As he poured his heart out, Sarah listened intently. There was a warmth in her voice that he hadn't realized he needed. "You're doing your best, and that matters," she said after hearing his worries. "Just remember, family is more than blood. It's about love and care. You have to fight for that." Mike felt hope begin to rise again. "What should I do next?" he implored. "Document everything. Keep track of the good times you've shared. Have pictures, stories, anything that shows how much she means to you. And if Rebecca pushes for custody, make sure to have legal advice lined up." He nodded, already imagining pulling together the snapshots of smiles, crafts, and laughter that filled their days together. "Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it." "Anytime, Mike. I'm here for you." After hanging up, he felt a new sense of clarity. He looked over at the children, their innocent joy radiating through the kitchen. This would be his shield, his battle cries against any threat to their happiness. "All right, team," he called, bursting with renewed energy. "Picnic planning begins right now." Lily beamed, finally feeling that flicker of reassurance, and Jake let out a cheer. Mike felt his heart swell with determination. He wouldn't just be defending their little world, he would build it stronger, but as the day progressed and laughter filled their home once more, the shadow of his promise loomed larger than ever. Just as he was about to pull out a photo album filled with memories, a knock came at the door, sent a fresh wave of unease skittering down his spine. Could it be Rebecca already? Would she come seeking answers, or worse, demand changes? He glanced at the kids, their excitement palpable, unaware of the tempest that stood just beyond the threshold. With a deep breath, Mike squared his shoulders once more, ready to face whatever came next. What secrets did Rebecca carry that could shatter their delicate peace? The thought tightened his chest as he braced for what lay ahead. Mike opened the door, and there stood Rebecca, her expression a mix of uncertainty and resolve. "Can we talk?" she asked gently, her voice carrying a weight both heavy and hesitant. "Sure, come in," Mike replied, stepping aside. The tension in the room thickened as she crossed the threshold. Jake and Lily were still playing in the other room, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing. Mike led her to the kitchen, nerves dancing in his stomach. As they settled at the table, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything hinged on this moment. "I didn't expect you to come back so soon," he said, trying to keep his tone neutral. "I didn't know how to start," Rebecca admitted, her hands fidgeting with the edge of the envelope she brought. "I've been thinking about what you said before about Lily needing to feel safe." Her eyes softened as she glanced toward the other room where the children were laughing. "The last thing I want is for her to feel unsettled," Mike said, his heart speeding up. "But she has a home here, Rebecca. She has found family." "I know," she replied, looking conflicted. "I didn't realize how much had changed until I saw her just now. When you opened the door and had your arms around her, she looked so happy." Mike leaned forward, feeling his heart pound. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying perhaps there's another way," she said, her voice more confident now. "I want what's best for Lily. I've been shooting from the hip, thinking I had to sweep in like a guardian. But maybe we can find a compromise." A flicker of hope ignited in Mike's chest. "Compromise? What do you mean?" "I want to support her being here while being part of her life instead of taking her away," Rebecca explained. "I don't want to lose her either. I know I haven't been there, and I regret that. But if I could at least be a part of her life together with you, that might work." "Lily deserves security," Mike insisted. If you come back into her life, it could be really confusing for her. She's been through so much already. I understand, trust me, Rebecca said, her voice steady. But I want her to know she has family, both of us. It's not about taking anyone away, it's about being there for her together. He let the words settle in the air. I don't know how Lily would take it. I think she'd take it seriously. Rebecca sighed, pulling out a piece of paper from the envelope. I've been working on a plan. Things we might use together. We could set clear boundaries, schedule some shared time, and approach this like a team. As Mike listened, he felt a hesitance shifting in his heart. Would this actually work? Could they come together to support Lily despite the chaos? Just then, Jake burst into the room, hands covered in paint, bright-eyed and bouncing with energy. Dad! Look at our painting! Jake exclaimed, pulling both Mike and Rebecca into their world of joyful chaos. Lily followed closely behind, her cheeks flushed from giggling, eyes sparkling. Isn't it awesome? Jake held up the canvas, showcasing the swirling galaxy they had created together. Mike watched as Rebecca's eyes softened, taking in the moment, the laughter unraveling a tension that had hung in the air just moments before. It's beautiful, she breathed, kneeling down to examine it closer. Lily's smile beamed up at Rebecca. Do you like the stars? I love them. Rebecca replied, her voice filled with sincerity. Just magical. Do you want to help us paint more? Jake asked, his eyes inviting. Mike felt a rush of warmth at the sight. This could be a new beginning. Sure, I'd love to, Rebecca said, her hesitation dissolving. Maybe we can create a whole universe. In that moment, a realization washed over Mike. Perhaps it wouldn't be about winning a fight to keep Lily, but rather about forging a new alliance in their love for her. A family defined not just by blood, but by choices made through compassion and unwavering support. As the afternoon slipped into a cozy evening, laughter and vibrant paints filled the room, an unexpected collaboration embracing the most beautiful parts of family. Mike watched as Jake and Lily excitedly crafted their universe, each brushstroke a new weight lifted off his heart, and as the stars twinkled brightly against the canvas, Mike realized something profound: love had the power to create, not divide. In this messy, chaotic world, family could be redefined if they stood together. Weeks later, with the sounds of laughter echoing in his home, Mike put down the article he'd been reading. The story of a community coming together against all odds had touched him deeply, mirroring his own journey. Thinking back, he laughed to himself. Look how far we've come. The house was transformed, bursting with creativity and imagination. It was a sanctuary now filled with love. His phone buzzed, then an unexpected message from the court. It was an invitation to discuss the new plans for the case. The weight of uncertainty still edged close, but Mike felt ready. With Rebecca stepping into a supportive role, they had pulled together a case that would show the judges the true essence of their family, regardless of how it had formed. Let's do this, he murmured to himself, proud of the unit they had built. And with that thought warming his heart, he turned back to the children and the colorful canvas that represented their love, a love that had overcome storms and fears. Life might not be perfect, but it was theirs, and that made all the difference. In every stroke of the paint, and every giggle shared, they crafted a home where acceptance and love flourished, a demonstration of what family truly meant. Remember, everyone deserves a home that hugs tight and welcomes them wholeheartedly. Now, it's your turn. Make sure to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.